When I married my husband, it felt like a dream come true. Life seemed so bright and full of promise. We were young, deeply in love, and filled with excitement about the future we would build together. Every day felt like an adventure, and every night brought the warmth of companionship. Our home became our little paradise. We laughed at silly jokes, supported each other through challenges, and found comfort in each other's arms. But the bedroom was our special place. It was where we whispered our hopes and dreams, shared our fears, and celebrated the love that brought us together. Everything about our life together felt perfect. We understood each other in ways that words could never fully capture. Every glance, every touch, spoke volumes about the bond we shared. It was as though we were two halves of the same heart, beating in harmony. But then came a night that changed everything. It started like any other evening. We enjoyed dinner together, talked about our day, and shared a few laughs. I felt so happy and content as we made our way to bed. I had no idea that this night would be different. As we lay side by side, he turned to me with a look I hadn't seen before. It was a mix of seriousness and hesitation, as if he was about to say something he had been holding back. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt a rush of curiosity. "What is it?" I asked, my voice soft and full of concern. He paused for a moment, searching for the right words. Then, with a deep breath, he said, "There's something I want us to try, something new, something I've been thinking about." I blinked, surprised but intrigued. "What do you mean?" I asked, my mind racing with possibilities. He hesitated again, clearly nervous. "It's a little personal," he said quietly. "I just thought it might bring us closer, help us connect in a different way." His words hung in the air like a delicate thread, not inappropriate, but vulnerable. It wasn't something I had ever thought about before, and for a moment, I didn't know how to respond. I could see the sincerity in his eyes. He wasn't demanding, he was opening up, hoping I would understand. Yet, deep inside, I felt unsure. "Husband," I said softly, choosing my words carefully, "I don't think I'm comfortable with that right now. It's not something I've ever imagined doing." My voice was firm, though my heart felt heavy with the weight of my refusal. I could see the disappointment in his eyes as he looked at me. It was as if he had hoped for a different response, and now he didn't know how to react. But despite his silent plea, I couldn't bring myself to agree. "We've always been happy with how things are," I continued, trying to soften the blow. "Let's stick to what we know, to what makes us both comfortable." The room fell into an awkward silence. I felt a knot form in my stomach as I watched him process my words. He didn't argue, but the look on his face said everything. He felt rejected, and it pained me to see that. Even so, I stood firm in my decision. I had heard of such things before, from friends' whispered conversations and snippets of movies, but it had always seemed foreign to me. It wasn't something I ever thought I would do, and now, faced with the reality of it, it felt strange and uncomfortable. "I don't think I can do this," I repeated, my voice softer this time, as if to ease the sting of my refusal. I hoped he would understand, but the atmosphere between us shifted. A quiet tension filled the room, and I couldn't help but wonder if I had done the right thing. My mind was a storm of questions and doubts, but one thing was clear: I needed to stay true to myself, even if it wasn't easy. That night, everything felt different. For the first time since we had gotten married, there was an unsettling distance between us in the bed. Usually, we would end the day by cuddling, talking about our hopes and dreams, or simply holding each other. But tonight, he didn't even look at me. He didn't reach out to me as he usually did. He simply turned to his side, facing away from me, and pulled the covers up to his chin. His back was now turned to me, and there was an empty space between us, as though an invisible wall had appeared out of nowhere. I lay there, feeling the coldness of the distance, both physical and emotional. He didn't say a word, didn't try to make things right. The silence felt loud, echoing in my mind. I couldn't sleep. My thoughts kept me awake, twisting in my head like a tangled mess. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing with doubt. Did I do the right thing? I asked myself over and over. Was I being too harsh? Maybe I was overthinking everything. But then, another thought would come to me: was I failing as a wife? It was as though I had let him down, and that thought stung deeper than I wanted to admit. The weight of it pressed down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Was this the beginning of something I couldn't fix? The questions kept swirling, one after another, making it impossible for me to quiet my mind. I longed to turn toward him, to reach out and pull him back into our comfort zone. But I didn't know if he would welcome me, and that uncertainty made it even harder to relax. The night felt endless, and the emotional distance between us seemed to stretch longer with every passing minute. In the days that followed, everything felt off between us. It was as if something invisible was hanging in the air, making everything feel tense and unfamiliar. My husband, who was usually full of jokes and laughter, seemed quieter. He didn't laugh at my silly comments like he used to, and he didn't tease me in his usual playful way. It was as though a shadow had fallen over him, and it was starting to cast its gloom on me as well. We didn't talk about it, not directly. The subject of that night was never mentioned, but I could feel the change in him. It wasn't like before. The easy comfort we once shared felt distant, like a dream slipping away with the morning sun. I began to wonder if I had made a mistake. Should I have been more open to his request? Maybe I was too quick to judge, too quick to say no. Perhaps I should have tried to understand his feelings better. These thoughts nagged at me, especially in the quiet moments when I was alone, just me and my racing mind. But even with those doubts, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had done what was right for me. I had to stay true to myself, even if it meant facing discomfort in the short term. Marriage is not just about compromise, it's about mutual respect, too. I believed that love should always come with respect for each other's boundaries and feelings. So, while I questioned myself, a part of me knew that I had stood up for my values. It wasn't about being stubborn, it was about protecting the part of me that needed to feel safe and comfortable in the relationship. And no matter how hard it was, I knew that staying true to myself was the only way to truly honor the love we had. After a week of feeling this uncomfortable tension between us, I knew it was time to talk. The silence had been too heavy, and I couldn't let it go on any longer. One evening, after we had finished dinner and were sitting together, I took a deep breath and decided to open up. "Husband," I said, my voice quiet but steady, "can we talk?" He looked at me, surprised by the sudden shift in the air. "Of course," he replied, his eyes searching mine, as if trying to figure out where this conversation would lead. I hesitated for a moment, gathering my thoughts. I had been thinking about his request for days, turning it over in my mind like a puzzle I couldn't solve. "I've been thinking about what you asked me that night," I started, my voice soft. "I know you were disappointed, and I want to understand why it's so important to you." He sighed deeply, as though a weight had been sitting on his chest for the past week. He leaned back in his chair, clearly struggling to find the right words. Finally, he spoke, his voice quieter than usual. "I just thought it could bring us closer. I didn't mean to upset you." His words hit me, and I felt a wave of understanding wash over me. I could see that he hadn't meant to hurt me, but rather, he had hoped that this new thing would strengthen our bond. It was hard to explain, but I could tell he was trying to be honest with me, to open up in a way that he hadn't before. But still, the question lingered in my mind, could I accept his request without losing myself in the process? I needed to know where we stood and how we could move forward together, with respect and understanding for each other's feelings. This conversation, though difficult, felt like the first step in healing the space between us. We spent hours talking that night. The words we shared felt like they were stitching the distance between us back together. I spoke openly about my fears and hesitations, telling him how I felt uncomfortable with the idea he had asked of me. It was hard, but I knew I had to be honest about why I couldn't say yes right away. I wasn't just thinking about myself, I was thinking about our relationship and how we could grow together without compromising who we were. Looking back, I'm actually grateful for this moment in our marriage. At the time, it felt challenging and uncomfortable, but now I see it as a turning point for us. It wasn't about whether we did exactly what he had asked, but about how we learned to communicate better with each other. It was in that conversation, in our shared honesty, that we found a deeper understanding of each other. Marriage isn't always easy. There will be times when you don't see eye to eye, when the road gets bumpy, or when misunderstandings arise. But with love, patience, and understanding, I believe that marriage can be the most beautiful journey of all. It's about growing together, supporting each other, and finding strength in your partnership, even when things get tough.